everyone. Today I'm going to welcome Mr. Sir Charles Cary to the Leadership Corner. Mr. Sir Charles Cary is a true content creator. He's a peak performance strategist, music producer, and songwriter, and has been on several platforms such as television. He's been in motion pictures, and he's also written multiple books. So welcome, Sir Charles. How are you doing, sir?
Man, I'm good, Frank. Thanks for having me on the platform. I definitely appreciate your time and your efforts. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And it's I'm so grateful to have you on board. It's always a pleasure to hear you. I do call you from time to time for some advice, and I'm glad that you're here to share some of that advice with other people as well.
And, starting off, let me just say this. One of the best things about being an entrepreneur, or even just a general business person, depending on how you look at it, is it's about developing relationships. Now, I mean, yeah, there's certain criteria for certain things, but when you develop relationships, it's always good to know, whether it's for free or for a fee, that you have a reliable and a credible resource that's available to you. And I think a lot of people drop the ball in that because, they go for training or they get coaching and they get it, they're gone, right? And then when they get stuck, they act like they don't know what to do. So, kudos to you, because as you just stated, we have spoken, since the coaching that I did with you many times about different things, sometimes, a lot of times business, but also just about life. And I just think that that's important.
Thank you. So there are several books you've written.
Yes.
And you have a whole lot of skills and abilities, right? How do you kind of hone in on these different skills and abilities and actually maximize each one of them? Because it seems like you've been pretty good in a lot of different areas. And that's kind of hard to do.
Okay. Yeah, honestly, I think the best thing for anybody to do, regardless whether it's the medical community, the carpentry, electrical, whatever, is to do the things that are really genuine and natural to you. If you're doing or conducting a workshop or you're doing a keynote talk, hopefully you're speaking about something you've done it, you've taught it, you've learned from the best, or you've invested those quote unquote 10,000 plus hours in that particular area, and now you have become a subject matter expert. And I think that it's just more fruitful for the client, for prospects, again, that you cater to what you do, versus there's a lot of things in the world. You can always reach out and have an opinion about accounting, or you can have an opinion about being an engineer. You may even have read about those things. But if that's not your authentic area of expertise, I would refrain from, trying to speak on it in a grand way. And I would refrain from trying to show up as an expert in those areas where that's not really where your bread is buttered.
Okay. Now, this is the Leadership Corner. And I was looking at one of your materials, Radiate the Brain.
Yes, sir.
Everybody can see it pretty decent. Hopefully, I know it's a little, the background may have blurred it out a little bit, but it's okay. Radiate the Brain and Change the Game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the subtitle is Finding the Cure for Cancer in Your Business and Existence.
Yeah. A lot of times, basically, that alludes to the fact that there are things that will make you and things that will break you. And I think a lot of times in business, just like in life, the things that break us, sometimes we don't see them coming. And the cancer that I'm referring to is the negative things, the bad things, the behaviors, the habits, maybe even not handling your finances correct, maybe not, which is the most important thing, having the right mindset, because as my catchphrase says, the right mindset is all you need. Without the right mindset, it's really difficult to get going in a positive way, in a productive way, because obviously, you're in a space that, you're trying to do something, but without the right nuances, right thinking, having the finances right, your structure, your overall business structure, and, honestly giving the right amount of time to what you're doing, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. So you have to avoid those cancers or those pitfalls in life and in business.
Great points. Now, with the leadership, we always talk about, how to be a great leader. And we kind of mention it so much, so sometimes I think it gets a little convoluted where you don't understand that a leader is not just your position in the workspace or in your community or wherever it may be, but it's more of an all-around effect of the person that you are.
Yeah.
And that's, personally at home, that's in the community, and a leader in your business or whatever position that you're a leader in. Because if I walk out of my business and I'm, going someplace, I'm in the streets, there are some people that may still recognize me, still know me. You still have employees that recognize you, they see you out there in the streets, and you're still setting an example. So you have to be an all-around leader, right? You can't just be great at your job and great at work, and then you go outside and you have some actions that are questionable, because those outside actions, as far as questioning your integrity, your values, your morals, when those are seen, that also impacts what you're actually doing on a job as far as your performance goes, because people will look at you a little differently.
I agree. There's a phrase that says, no matter where you go, there you are. And I believe that some people don't think so, but I believe that you should be the same person, whether it's conducting business or in your personal life. Now, within reason, and what I mean by within reason is, okay, you may be a little more relaxed in your language and your vocabulary when you're at home, because you're not giving a presentation when you're home with the kids or when you're home with your loved one and you're watching a movie or having dinner. But at the same time, the way that you show up should be the way that you always show up. If someone knocked on your door selling Girl Scout cookies, or if someone just saw you in the street and they wanted to know, hey, you mind if I get in front of you, or could you hold the door for me? The same person that's on the street should be the same person that's on the stage, in my opinion. If you're so full of yourself that you feel you're above people, or that you don't want to engage people, or then to me it's inconsistent, it's not congruent. So as you referred to, or as you mentioned, I just believe that you should be the same person no matter what, because as it relates to leadership, yeah, okay, you may be a leadership speaker or trainer or whatever, but if you're in the workplace, those skills and that presence, that posture is necessary. Why? Because people may look to you to know how something should be done. You should also be a leader in knowing about whatever the problem is, if there is a problem. Why? For the same reason. They need to know how to fix it, or they need to know, if they're your bosses want to know you know how to fix it. And if your bosses or the subordinates are not sure how something should be redirected or reconfigured, and you're showing up as a leader, well, you should have an idea that gives people a fresh perspective. And that's also a part of leadership. So you, the person, your posture, your vocabulary, your outlook, your ability to use your imagination, the ability to use your current resources, all of those things and more are really a part of what leadership is. That's just a sort of an itemized breakdown. And there's a lot more that could be said to what leadership really is, in my opinion.
Yes. So the Radiate the Brain and Change the Game. I'm looking at a few topics in there, right? And it kind of stood out to me because I said, that kind of relates to leadership, right? One of them, you talked about the traditional way of thinking, and how it's changing now in this, new and tough economy, right? You said if you think outside of the box with your business strategies or radiate the brain, you can definitely change the game to your benefit. The thinking outside of the box.
Right. I mean, the bottom line is, in order to get different results, you have to take different actions. Those, those actions usually come from your thoughts. Now, it could be from a meeting you were in with other people. It could be the fact that you're sitting around thinking about how can we become productive, or how can we become, how would you say, another way of being productive? How can we monetize a situation? What's the best way of going about it? And you may just sit in a quiet space and think of the pros and cons. So until you think it through, until you have a discussion with others, until you maybe chart some things on paper, you're not going to see the answer. So we have to be able to radiate the brain in order to change the literal game in life. Your thoughts are things, so you have to think it through.
Exactly. The word that comes to mind with radiating the brain, thinking it through, brainstorming, right?
Mm-hmm.
You as a leader should not be making decisions solely on your own. It should be a unified front with your immediate managers, right? And it should go all the way down to the average worker that's working for you. But it should start with yourself and the managers, where you're kicking ideas around, you're brainstorming, because you have to get the buy-in,
Well,
right?
yeah, I think it just depends on the type of problem. If it's a company and they're trying to do something to make the company, let's say, profitable end of the year, they want to be profitable, or quarterly, whatever, and they want to make some changes, yeah, you probably do need to, think things through and then have a discussion with the owners or the managers. And then if it's about a new culture that you're creating, or a process, then the subordinates have to be trained on what that process is, but they also should understand why that process is, and then walk them through a step by step so they get it. And then slowly but surely, hopefully it will exponentially trickle down so that everyone can understand how to do this particular thing that's going to bring the company additional revenue, or a different view, or entice a different client.
Correct. And with the thinking outside the box, as you include everyone into the possible scenarios, maybe there's an idea amongst someone that you hadn't thought about before. And maybe it's that one person who may be thinking outside of the box and has that idea. And it was like it's like a radiate the brain moment, right? Didn't think about that. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
So,
everyone gets those aha moments from time to time. And actually, the reality is, you may ask a question, and in that question, the answer may appear to someone else. So
correct.
it's there's no telling how you can get the results you're really seeking. But again, like you say, to brainstorm, to discuss it with superiors, and then hopefully, hash things out, you can get that desired result.
Okay. Now, the one last thing I want to talk about and radiate the brain, it's a self-assessment, right? We all should do self-assessments about ourselves, right? Some people are their own worst critic, and some people will be pretty honest. And well, we know some people will skew the answers, and they won't give themselves an honest assessment because they see themselves in a higher light than maybe someone else will see them.
Right.
Um, but in the self-assessment, um, you talked about, I want you to think in terms of potential skills and ability. So is this where you kind of look at where you are, where you want to be, what skills do I have, and how do I improve those skills to become a better leader?
Yeah, I think in the book, Aligned by Design, I talk about critical in-depth analysis. And yeah, self-assessment or self-inventory is another way of phrasing it. But when you want to use critical in-depth analysis, the bottom line is it's about truly being critical of yourself, really not being your best friend, but maybe you're a worthy adversary or a person that's willing and able to critique you with truth. So if you're having a problem and you think, I don't know, let's say a painting, you make a painting and you think, wow, I'm done, the painting is good. Well, can you step outside of yourself and say to yourself, is the painting really good? Did I use all the real estate on the canvas? Did I use good colors? Did I color or paint inside the lines? Is there enough definition in the background? Is, the message being conveyed accurately according to how I painted this picture, your drawing? And if you come up with yes, then it's all good, keep moving. But if you see one thing that's suspect or subject for error, then being critical of yourself is a benefit, because then you can say, wow, I rushed through this, or I overlooked it and I didn't really notice that I didn't color in all the lines, or I left blank spaces. And then you can say to yourself, okay, I need to really fill that in before submitting my drawing, before submitting my painting. And that's the beautiful thing about critical in-depth analysis. Like, I've done a lot of coaching. So yeah, okay, but you don't always need a coach if you can be honest with yourself. And that's where critical in-depth analysis comes in, because you have to look not just on the surface level, but look deeper if need be. Look as deep as you need to figure out, are you really addressing this problem, or are you giving the best service to this client, for example?
Okay, very good. Now, think of a leadership challenge that you've had before that you would like to share, and how did you handle it?
Well, like anything, I'm a peak performance strategist. And when it comes to personal and professional development, peak performance, that's my thing. So I'm always focusing on mindset. So whenever there's a challenge, the first thing you need to do is think. Just stop, zip it, really, and just think. How are you assessing this challenge? And for me, I've had many challenges. So, I can use personal or professional challenges. I remember this is kind of a fun one, but yeah. I was doing a couple of workshops out in Las Vegas, and I didn't know what to do, because I sold all my books, and they bought all my books. They bought all my audio programs. I had the Radiate the Brain book set. I had the Aligned by Design, where you get a book and you get the audio program. I had all these materials, and only ones I had left was the samples. And I'm like, oh my goodness, they bought all my stuff. What am I going to do? Well, and again, this is lighthearted. This is kind of a fun thing. I just couldn't think, because I was excited about it. I was looking good. I had on one of my best suits. I was looking sharp, and I was delivering the jokes on time and doing all the things that I needed to do. And I was like, man. And what did I do? I got on the phone and I called one of my mentors. I said, what did I do? What do I do? I don't have any more product. And they like what I've got. And he provided me a simple solution. He said, look, get a piece of paper, put the name, email, and the phone number. And for those who are really serious about getting your stuff, tell them, don't worry about it. You see the product here, I'll mail it to you, and I'll mail it to you. No shipping and no handling. And I said, wow. Why didn't I think of that, right?
Yeah.
So something so simple or basic may be the answer. So we have to really just think about, what are you up against? You're selling something. And the worst thing for a salesman to do, or a salesperson, is to be able to sell something and not have product. So you have to come up with a solution. And the solution was simple. They have a sample. These are the books. Okay, voila. These are all the books, right? But I don't have any more. I tell you what, which one did you think you'd like? That one? No problem. You make your payment, give me your address. I'll send it to you free of charge, no shipping and no handling. Not free, but I'll send it to you with no shipping and handling. You just pay the basics and I'll get it to you. And you don't have to worry about carrying a bunch of books from every workshop that you go to. You make it appealing to them. So, you know, you got to think things through sometimes. And sometimes just ask for help.
Yes, sir. Thanks for sharing. And yeah, I think asking for help. Nobody needs to travel this road by themselves. There's always someone that has some plausible solution or an answer for all questions,
Yep.
right? All situations. I don't think I've ever been taught where you should not have a mentor, or you shouldn't, if you're stuck on something, that you call someone, hey, I got this problem, I have this issue.
Right.
Because when you do that, your leadership, your potential is endless, right? Because
The
you
thing
always
about it,
have
Frank,
knowledge.
the thing about it is, men, I know if you're old school, meaning you come from the old train of thought that a man basically is like thinking like a Neanderthal. I can carry all the weight, no matter how big, I'm tough, I'm rough. I don't have to worry about feelings and emotions. I'll just walk through the wall and I'll arrive and everything would be perfect. Well, that's one way of trying to do things. The truth of the matter is, when we ask for help, assistance, and even if it's just an idea, that's a sign of vulnerability, but it's also, more importantly, a sign of strength, because it takes a lot of nerve and courage to say, I don't know how, I can't, I'm not sure, help me. Can you share with me how I can achieve this goal, whatever it may be? And most people, well, I don't know if I should say most, but many people would fail before asking for an opportunity to be helped to succeed. And that's very unfortunate for people. It's easy to ask for help.
Yeah. Well, hey, Charles, it's been a pleasure. I thank you for your time. Leaders, do a self-assessment of yourself. Be very critical and true of yourself. See where you need to improve upon. And if there's a situation where help is needed, ask for help among your peers, among your a mentor. There are other support groups out there for CEOs, executives, etc. Reach out, get help to the situation. Don't make a decision that could be costly in the long run because you're not willing to seek others' advice.
If I can make one other comment before we close out, if there's anything I can do, please contact me at sircharlescaryinc.com, and you can get any of the books, audios, DVDs, any of the materials that you can or that you need as it relates to personal and professional development. I'd love to be an asset or maybe provide a coaching session for you. Thanks again, Frank.
And thank you. And I'll add your link below so everyone can have access to your link and your books also. And so once again, thank you. And thanks everyone for viewing in. Tell a friend to subscribe. Thank you.